There are a couple of things. I was going to say two things before I start, but Susanne just made me add a third. First, I want to say a lot of what I'm going to talk about echoes all the themes we've heard this morning. If I didn't know better, I would swear we had coordinated, but honestly, we have not. Second, I want to say this is the most intimidating screen I have ever been in front of. And what Susanne is talking about is I completed the Golden Gate swim exactly a month ago today, jumped off a ferry, swam under the bridge. It was one of the most amazing experiences of getting out of the water and saying, I did it. I'd done other swims, many other things in my life, but that really had a feeling of completion. So I think we're actually on the second slide here. There we go. Not that you're going to be able to tell the difference because of the lights. So I am the founder and driving force of Creative Crisis Leadership. And I am on a mission. I want to fill the world with people who are ready to show up in a crisis. Not necessarily because they're prepared, but because when they think something needs to be done, they have the courage to try to help get it done. And I'd like to share with you a real-life example of what I'm talking about. Now, I heard about this incident 2 days after it happened and had the great fortune to be able to spend the following 2 weeks interviewing many of the people who had been there. Unfortunately, you can't see my great slide because of, sorry. It was a dark and stormy night. Rockport, Texas, August 26th, 2017. Hurricane Harvey made a direct hit on Rockport with sustained winds of 156 miles an hour, 1 mile an hour short of being a Category 5 hurricane. Zach Deering thought he was going to ride out the storm at home, but as Harvey intensified, he realized the house wasn't safe. He made his way through the storm to get to the Live Oak Learning Center, an elementary school that had been opened as a shelter of last resort. He thought he would find safe haven there. He didn't. What he found was chaos. There was no staff. No one was in charge. So imagine with me, if you will, there's a hurricane outside right now. Winds are blowing at 150 miles an hour. It's night. There's no power here. We're in the dark except for emergency lights. There's water all over the floors and the seats. Water is coming in under the doors. It's dripping from the ceiling in places. You put your hand on a wall, and it feels like it's alive, like it's breathing. The wind is battering the building. The wind is shaking from the building, and it sounds like freight trains are going by. Dogs and people are wandering in the dark through the water, just trying to find a dry place to hunker down, or just wandering nervously. There are a few people trying to help others, getting them water if they need it and so on, but there's no organization, no coordination. It's just individuals trying to do what they can. So ask yourselves right now, who are you? Are you one of the helpers? Or are you trying to find a corner for yourself? Zach was a helper. Eventually, he finds himself in a hallway, standing with a few of the other helpers, and gradually he emerges as a spontaneous leader. He pulls the group together, they become a team, they develop shared goals and shared direction. Zach and the team keeps everyone in the shelter calm and feeling safer through the night, and gives them hope. But that's not all. They actually they saved at least one life. There were 7 hospice patients there that night, several of whom were on oxygen. One gentleman was running out of air and was quietly sitting, prepared to die. Zach was able to borrow a spare oxygen tank from someone else, while 2 of the team members made their way through the storm to a car to recharge the empty tank. So my question was, what made Zach different? Why did he emerge as a spontaneous leader when most others don't. There we go. Zach Deering, actor, playwright, college dropout. At the time of the storm, he was working as harbor maintenance crew. He had no special training in leadership, no special training in disaster management. But he had three things. First, he had an action-oriented, service-oriented mindset. That came from his upbringing and his childhood experiences. He talked to me about how being bullied had helped him develop the mindset, or had helped him develop empathy and an and a can-do mindset. In his words, I was bullied in middle school, and I can't stand by if someone else is getting bullied, and Harvey was a bully. Harvey was a bully, and I'm not going to let him bully all these people. Zach found his escape from bullying in theater and writing. There he discovered the power of imaginary play. That gave him a training ground for the second thing he turned up with, spontaneous leadership skills. The ability to bring a group of strangers together by listening to them, building on their ideas, and helping bring out collective direction and purpose. The third thing Zach had was courage. The courage to fail, or the courage to risk to fail, and the courage to risk pain. He had practiced that by playing through imaginary situations in theater, but he'd also been a bouncer. And that had given him an opportunity to practice everyday courage. He explains, he discovered in theater, you can be whomever you want to be in imaginary situations. I skipped a little bit there. From his theater, he discovered that you can be whomever you want to be. He talks about what he learned and the experience he gained as an actor. You're the lead actor. If a scene is lagging, you got this role because anybody else having trouble on stage, we're relying on you to help them get the confidence they need. Third thing I mentioned he had is courage. The courage to risk failure and the courage to risk pain. Obviously, he developed that by being on stage and playing through imaginary situations, and he learned it through his bouncing days. As he said about bouncing, for example, no matter how hard I try to talk a guy out of a fight, and he's just wanting it, he's going to hurt me or a patron. There's no way around it. I'm going to try to control this as best I can, but I'm about to get hurt, and I have to perform. Zach had no special training, no formal training. He had developed the mindset, the skills, and the courage by playing through imaginary situations and practicing in everyday situations. And that's actually not surprising. We know that people learn from building on what they know and by having the opportunity to experiment, to fail, and to succeed. We also know they learn best when they feel safe and they're having fun. So that's what creative crisis leadership does. We use live action learning, games, and fun to put people in imaginary situations where they can develop the mindset, skills, and courage that they will need in a crisis, because fun wipes out fear. We create three types of imaginary situations. We have a single-player board game that gets people to think about, what would I do in this situation? We have collective games that gets groups of people to talk about, what would we do in this imaginary situation? And finally, we do live action workshops where people actually get to play through and enact what they would do in that situation. Now you're probably asking yourself, what about me? I want to be ready. How do I prepare to show up in a crisis? I'm not an actor. I'm certainly not going to be a bouncer. I'm not Zach. It's okay. You're not Zach, and I don't want you to be Zach. Zach showed up with a mindset and courage and one set of relevant skills. Those are spontaneous leadership. The other helpers, the other people on the team, showed up with mindset and courage and other skills that were needed. For instance, how to operate an oxygen compressor. In other situations, other skills might be needed, like helping to keep the kids calm, how to tie knots, or even just someone who can make people feel better. The media picked up on the incident in Rockport. Zach was lauded as a hero in international news. He was on Good Morning America. He got a 1,000 Points of Light award. But what he kept telling me was, I hate the word hero. It wasn't me, it was the team. Had nobody raised their hands, I would have gone and hid in the bathroom. Everybody who was there that night had skills to contribute. There were some who also had the mindset and courage to step up. We play every day. And every day we choose what mindsets and skills that play will help us strengthen. And we choose how we're going to build our courage. So I want you to ask yourselves, how do I play? What skills, mindset and skills am I choosing to strengthen every day? How do I choose to build my courage every day? Because how you play every day dictates how you will show up in a crisis. And even if you think you have nothing to offer, you fear there is no hero in your heart, you have a cape. And every day you choose to prepare to wear that cape. And I am asking you today to choose to prepare to be unprepared.